Welcome to this quick overview presentation, which will take about 8 minutes. We shall be looking at how we prepare for this year's Performance and Development Reviews, PDRs for short. Without doubt, this has been a challenging year, and we will look at different options and considerations to ensure that this year's PDRs are a meaningful and valuable experience for all colleagues. In this presentation, we will cover the acknowledgement of the importance of being flexible with this year's PDRs, given the volatile, uncertain, challenging, ambiguous times that we find ourselves in. Also want to highlight that there will be variations in approach to this year's PDRs by faculty and directorate. Also want to highlight options and considerations in how we conduct our PDRs this year. And finally, this presentation has been designed to be delivered in conjunction with locally organised Google Meet discussions, enabling reviewers to discuss aspects of PDR preparation specific to their faculty and directorate. In a recent video post, HR Director Ruth Davies expressed VCG's appreciation that we're not just working from home, we're at home in a crisis trying to work. Undertaking the annual PDR discussion while working remotely may offer some new challenges, but there are potentially real benefits from taking time to reflect on and sharing the journey we have all taken this year. We've all had to learn quickly a range of technical and soft skills to enable us to continue to work remotely. We'll also need to continue that learning into the future. So the need for a conversation about expectations, priorities and learning needs is a timely one. The context of this year's PDR might just help us get right back on track with basics in our development conversations. A number of managers have said to me that hosting PDRs has never been more important, and this year it's going to be about recognising staff effort in these challenging times, whilst not forgetting the goals that have been met prior to us going down to lockdown. It's about acknowledging the changed situation of campus closure and the move to remote working. It's about acknowledging the changing work priorities and practices. It's an opportunity to review the implications of current working practices, both now and in the future, at an individual level. It's an opportunity to check in with staff to support their mental well-being and general health, especially if working from home is impacting on their physical health, for example, musculoskeletal, posture, RSI and the like. There's also a need for clear expectations around current goals and direction. And it's also important to explore the practicalities for the next academic year, and to consider the impacts of the pandemic on research, other professional activities and commitments, for example, the extension of the REF submission. It can also provide a stimulus for staff development, especially where this is needed to support students in new ways. So in summary of this section, this year's Performance Development Review needs to recognise that everyone's performance has been impacted. It's an opportunity to appreciate and understand the implications of current and future impacts on performance. It's an opportunity to explore the learning opportunities to develop the skills, knowledge and experiences for our year ahead. And it's an opportunity to review and appreciate what's actually been accomplished. And finally, to put that all into perspective. Conducting this year's PDRs is also important in supporting the key tenets of what constitutes good leadership here at Brooks, especially in the area of being inclusive, engaging, empowering and coaching individuals. It's also about demonstrating personal effectiveness by managers through good communication and influencing and developing their staff. And finally, it's about being agile through fostering new ideas and innovation, anticipating and responding to stakeholder needs, and managing change with sensitivity and resilience. Faculty and directorate variations. At a recent university operations meeting, a consensus was made that each faculty and directorate would consider their own optimum response and timings as to the rollout of PDRs in their respective areas. So please respond and interact with any localised rollouts in your particular area. Once a PDR rollout has been outlined for your particular area, there are a number of options and considerations to be factored in. The first is, when might they take place? Here, reviewers need to consider individual context and circumstances when arranging the review. A key caveat for any PDR discussion is the need to acknowledge flexibility in outcomes by both reviewer and reviewee. And wherever possible, you should be factoring in indicative plans and priorities highlighted by your faculty or directorate. Reviewers are urged to allow plenty of notice when it comes to scheduling PDRs and ensure they distribute out the meetings as best they can to avoid their own fatigue. We recommend keeping paperwork as light touch as possible. Consider short bullet point sentences to highlight key points and ensure that SMART objectives have those flexibility caveats built in. When it comes to the PDR itself, be prepared for potential distractions and having to make adjustments. It's an opportunity to use intuition and pragmatism to make the best of it. And finally, it is important to do the follow-up paperwork, completing the Part 2 section and any actions which were committed to in the discussion. For this slide, I just wanted to highlight some key resources to support this year's PDR process. First of all, the supporting documents and main guidance can be found in the HR's PDR support pages. Secondly, we have the PDR Reviewer online module, which introduces the concept to new staff, or it can be a useful refresher for existing staff. This year, we have a new Skill Boosters module highlighting key aspects of adopting a coaching approach in your PDR conversations. The module takes about 15 minutes to complete and acts as a useful orientation reminder before you commence your PDRs with staff. And finally, remember that the staff coronavirus web pages has timely advice linked to working from home. The Vice-Chancellors Group, in its development of a new university strategy, announced inclusivity as an additional guiding principle. As a university community, we have committed ourselves to continuously develop and support diversity and inclusivity. Last year, the majority of staff completed the Introduction to Unconscious Bias module, featuring specialist provider Pern Candola, and feedback indicates that not only was the module thought-provoking, it also challenged us. As part of the PDR process for this year, it's important to ensure that we continue that self-challenge as we embrace the spirit of inclusivity in our discussions. And the final thought in this presentation is to give your staff a boost. Boost is a mnemonic on advice for giving feedback, and it stands for balanced. Focus not only on areas for development but also on strengths. It should be observed, provide feedback based upon behaviours that you, the reviewer, have actually observed. It should be objective, avoiding judgments, and relate your feedback to the observed behaviours, not necessarily personality. And it should be specific. Back up your comments with specific examples of the observed behaviour. And wherever possible, timely. Give feedback soon after the event to enable reflection and resonance for ongoing development. If this recording has been used as part of a locally arranged PDR preparation discussion, then I'll hand over to the meeting host so you can discuss this further in your faculty or directorate. Thank you for listening to this overview presentation.